All right. So, hey everyone, Maico here with Iprorealty. I have Devin here. This is going to be a short video. So, for us to talk about the marketplace, because there has been a huge shift in the market due to the fact of interest rates. So, Devin here will explain some of those information so you guys can be informed in terms of what's going to happen in the marketplace in the next few months. So take it away, Devin.
Yeah, so I'm sure by now everybody's heard, the term Bank of Canada increasing the interest rates, right?
Yeah.
It's a very hot topic. Doesn't matter where you are, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, anywhere you're gonna start hearing these talks. And so, in saying that, I've also received a lot of communication from the lending side, what it means for them, because everybody will interpret the Bank of Canada hikes differently, right?
Right.
And so, historically speaking, one thing that I really want to rip the band-aid off quick and say, these aren't unexpected increases,
Mm-hmm.
right? If we look at over a 10-year period, CMLS has actually put out a document, and it states that in that 10-year period, we're actually lower than the average interest rate at this
Yep.
point in time,
Yep.
right? So that kind of sheds up some positive light because right now it seems like it's a lot of negatives,
Oh,
right?
definitely.
Yeah. And so, what this really means for the consumer, at least at this point in time, is, yes, uh, to call a spade, the interest rates are up, right? You're looking at probably anywhere between 4.5 and above on the insured side and a little bit more on the B side, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, to preface this, everybody's rate will be dependent on that client's strength, right? I hear a lot of the time, especially now, my friend got X, my friend got Y. How come I can't get that,
Mm-hmm.
right? And what that really boils down to is you got to look at it from your personal perspective, right?
Right.
What job do you have? What income do you have? What debts do you have, right? And that's something to really keep in mind, especially in today's market where everybody's trying to promise you the best thing, right? Right
Absolutely.
now, I'm hearing a lot of agents on the broker side promise a lot of things, right? And what I want to do to offer the clients is, well, let's take a look and see what we can actually do for you before we start promising things, right?
Absolutely.
I think that's the most important part, especially in a market like this, right? And
Yeah.
do you have any questions
Oh no,
there?
I'm just like
No.
typically I'm just basically agreeing for everything that you're saying.
Yeah.
Even right now, a lot of buyers. There's still a lot of buyers out there. I mean,
Hmm.
the past few weeks, I've been doing a lot of showings for my buyers, and it's funny because if the house looks like a castle or
Hmm.
just looks really, really good, there's a lot of business cards out there. I mean, in
Yeah.
that property, right? Because obviously, like buyers this day has a lot more choices
Hmm.
to choose from, especially in the spring market. Is always there's a lot of properties gonna be available due to the
Yeah.
fact that sellers they want to sell the property in spring so they can basically move before fall comes, because school are about to start and just basically life is about to start, right?
Hmm. Yeah. And so, also something that is very popular right now that a lot of people are talking about that I do want to shed some light on is versus variable,
Right,
right?
that's a good
Everybody's calling me, texting me, emailing me, asking, what should I do? What should I do? What's the best answer, right? And you can ask 50 different agents and they'll give you 50 different answers, right?
100%.
What I always say is it comes down to your comfortability.
Mhm.
Fixed is great, variable is great. It depends on who you are and what you can budget for,
Right.
right? To really just break it down, if anybody is watching this and doesn't really know what a fixed versus a variable is, variable would be when the prime rate increases, either your payment does or your amortization. Fixed, that's more, set it and forget it, right? You'll get 4.7%. Let's say your monthly payments are $2,500 a month. That's what it's going to be throughout the whole term, right? In a market like this, what I focus on, and I have an excellent calculator. I don't have it here, but I can definitely, Maico, show you this afterwards. That calculates what the difference would be between fixed versus variable over 5 years, and show you what would be the cost difference,
Yeah.
right? And that is something that we really want to pay attention to, is not so much the sticker price, but what's going to be more cost efficient to you, the client, over a 5-year term, right? Generally speaking, the average mortgage is going to be over 5 years. There's 1 year, 2 year, 5 years, 3 years, right? But just speaking in averages, we're going to be dealing with 5-year, right?
Also having to say that, like in regards of fixed and variable, obviously, like when you have a fix for 5 years, for example, and you end up, selling your house due to the fact of, some changes in our life, because this happens to me before. I was in fix for 5 years, and I needed to break my mortgage, and there's going to be a hefty, especially now these days. The amount of mortgage that a lot of people have, it'll be like between 15 to $20,000 worth of penalty, right? Versus variable. Variable, when you break it, there's literally like 3 months penalty.
3 months interest. Yep,
Interest
that's
penalty, right? So
Yeah.
it really depends on comfortably of the person, whether they're going to be in that in neighborhood for 5 to 10 years, then great. If they're planning to just be there just for the sake of being having a mortgage, then
Yeah,
decide accordingly.
exactly. And that's why I always say, I will advise and give, what I think are the pros and cons to both options, both fixed and variable, right? And then it'll be up to the client. I basically, my job is to provide you with as much information as possible so that you can make an informed, educated decision, right? I do not coerce into one way or the other, right?
Absolutely.
That's my, at least how I operate, at least, right? Other people might say something different, but I'm of the firm belief that, I'll present to you all the facts and all the figures and all the numbers, and then we can take it from there, right? What are you comfortable with once everything is laid out?
Absolutely.
Right?
And at the end of the day, that's basically a lot of people need to have, it's just information, because even now information is the new currency of the universe,
Yeah.
and it's essential to have those kind of stuff, because number one, if you're a first-time home buyer, you really don't know what you're doing. If you work with competent real estate agents or mortgage specialists, especially, these people will explain to you guys in terms of the things that you're going to be needing and how to plan to buy a property, for your future, type of thing, right? So this is great.
Well, exactly, and that's, my job is kind of twofold. It's either getting the pre-approval and doing that process, right? Helping with the what we call active search,
Yeah.
right? But then also helping with the inactive search, the planning and preparation, right? Okay, I want to buy in, X amount. What would I need? Right? Especially in this market with the first-time home buyers. I mean, we could do another talk in which, we get a little bit more in depth in terms of qualifying rates and all these other nuances that aren't really talked about, right? And I think you hit the nail on the head by saying information is the currency right now, right? And I think it really comes down to agreeing with what you said there, competent individuals both on the real estate side and mortgage side, because you can get 16, 17 different news articles, right? But if you don't know exactly what the terms they're talking about are, or if you don't know what some of the industry lingo is, you might be led to think one way or the other, right? And so it's kind of one of our fiduciary duties, I guess you can say, to cut through the noise, right? and present the client with, yes, you may have heard X and you may have heard Y, but you've only heard bits and pieces. Here's the whole story put together,
Right.
right? And this is what it means for you, right?
And at the end of the day, that's basically what we'll need. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, like, information comes best planning, planning
Yeah,
comes your dream house or for your future, right?
right. And it's funny, early on when I was younger, I had a landscaping job, and my boss gave me, uh, he calls it the 5 Ps. And I never really thought much of it when he said it, but it
Mhm.
stuck with me ever since, and I use it to this day. And those 5 Ps are: proper planning prevents putrid performance, right?
Excellent.
And that is exactly how I mimic and operate. I make sure that we do all of the work up front, and we're checking all of the boxes, right?
Yeah,
Crossing all the T's, dotting all the I's, so that moving forward down the line, we've done the due diligence, we've done the work, right?
exactly.
We if there's a hiccup, if there's a bump, which there always is. I don't know one transaction that's ever closed 100%
There's no
smoothly.
bump per
Yeah,
se.
you sign the paper and go to bed and that's it. I don't think that's ever happened. um, but those are expected, right? And then we can deal with them because we did the proper planning,
Right.
right? So I think that's very important, especially now in a market like this.
And that says a lot in terms of knowledgeable mortgage
Mhm.
specialists, agents, or just someone are just doing this for part-time.
Mhm.
Be aware, buyers and sellers, be aware of those people who says that they're the best, they're doing this, they're doing that. Do your research as well, making sure that the thing that you're getting into are the proper one.
Yeah.
Because as everybody know, we are diamonds. Is that how you say it? Diamonds?
Yeah.
Right? That there's a lot of us. However, there's also a lot of us are, lack of a better word, incompetent,
Hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
you want to work with people who's competent enough to really take care of you from top to bottom, you know, and
Right.
get there.
And that's exactly it. I mean, I tell this to every client, whether they're coming from yourself, if you refer them to me, or if somebody else refers them to me. I'm always, my two biggest things are transparency and communication, right?
Awesome.
If I never say absolutely I can do this, I can get you the best rate out there,
Yeah.
right? I haven't looked at the file, right? I haven't looked at the numbers. I haven't looked at where things lie. I'm
Yeah.
very much a facts and figures person, and that is what you need, right? Um, it's easy marketing to say you're the best,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
It's hard to say, hey, you know what? Let's look and let me see what I can do,
Right.
right? It's a lot harder to take that onus and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to do the best that I can and
Right.
get you something that you can afford,
Right.
only after looking at where everything lies, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, I know nobody really knows what will happen in the future, but I've been hearing that there's two more jump in terms of
Mm.
interest rate by the end of this year.
Yeah.
Um, any idea, any input? When will those happen? And basically, how much they are, things like that.
Yeah. So I've heard, and again, it, it's funny because like I said, everybody's saying a lot of things,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, even on my end, I have to cut through the noise myself, right?
Absolutely.
And so what I'm seeing, one of the overall arcing things, is I'm seeing a lot of people fixate on July 12th, right?
Mm,
They think that something's going to be coming July 12th, and that it's going to be between a 0.5% and 0.75 of
mm-hmm.
a increase,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now, will that come to fruition? I don't know, right? The only people who know are those at the Bank of Canada and those economists who that's their job, right?
Yeah.
And they have the calendar set and primed and ready to go,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, I like to say everything with rates, everything is speculation until it's fact, right? So they have said 4 jumps this year. We're already, this would be the third jump.
Also,
So
the June, sorry to interrupt, but the June
yeah.
1st, it's been third jump already.
So there's been one that brought it to 3.2. There's been another one that's brought it to 3.7, right? And then the potential next one is going to be the July,
The July
uh,
one.
the July one.
Potentially. I mean, who really
Potential,
knows, right?
right? So that would make it 3, meaning if the speculation is true, we would be primed for one more towards
Yeah.
the end of the year,
Yeah.
right? Now, people always say, "Oh my, it's going up, it's going up." Um, you might talk to a lot of people, and I think I've said this enough in the recording, but a lot of people say a lot of things. What I can honestly say is I'm really no nonsense. It's going to get worse before it gets better,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
And I
Oh
think
my God.
if we operate with that mindset, it changes our view and it changes our perspective,
Absolutely.
right? We have been in a historically low period, and that's what is the outlier, right? 2 years ago, 2019, we were talking 1.5s, we were talking 1.9s, 2.09s, right? And now we're much higher than that, right? Much higher
Well,
than
speaking of higher, I mean, I remember back in 2004,
that.
my interest rate was 12%.
And that's exactly it. That's exactly it, right? And that's something that, I am talking to my buyers, or the buyers that I represent today, is
Yeah.
I say, hey, look, yeah, this might be high, but when we really think about where the rates were from 2000 to 2022, right, I have some referral partners that say their first house was 17%.
Yeah. I have
They
to. I have
refi-
to agree.
yeah, they refinanced at 7% and thought it was a smacking good deal,
Yeah.
right? They were like, oh my, the bank is letting me away with this? Like, what is going on? Right?
Is this even real?
Yeah, right. And so that is something that is we really need to put that into the lens and frame of reference,
Absolutely.
right? Um, Nobody predicted COVID was going to happen, right? I mean, sure, there might have been some on the fringe, aspects of biology and stuff that predicted it, sure. But for the general population, no one predicted it was going to happen. 2019, 2020, we didn't know that was going to happen. 2021. And in saying that, back in 2018, nobody expected the rates to drop to where they were,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
But for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So when the rates drop, this is an ebb and flow. They have to go
Right.
back up,
Right.
right? And because of the state of the world with inflation and edging into that economic realm, so many other key factors, our rates are going to go up, right?
Eventually. I mean,
Eventually, right? Like just look at everything else. Look at gas, look at lumber, look at all these things, right? It's not that it's an outlier. It's just it's going with the times,
right.
right?
Exactly.
And once we realize that, then all of a sudden we're like, okay, everything starts to slowly make sense.
Yeah.
Is it perfect? No. Right? Would I love to give everybody a 1% mortgage? Absolutely.
Sure.
Right?
Absolutely right
Absolutely.
now.
Right? But that's not realistic. And one of the big things, and Maico, I know we first met, it was something that I talked about quite frequently, is making sure that we make our goals realistic ones.
Right.
Right? And that is a big part of my job, is taking the client's expectations, right? What they dream about and what they want, and making it realistic, right?
Exactly.
How do we get there, or what does it look like when we're there,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
Right.
Yep. And like I said, at the end of the day, that's basically, it is what it is. I mean, we just have to work around it. Now, if I was a buyer,
Yeah.
you say to get pre-approved now and lock in the interest rate. So in the future, if obviously, this is what I find in terms of market, right? If interest rate goes up, chances are property will go down. If the government intervene, chances are,
Something else will
property will
happen.
go down.
Yeah.
Recession, there's been a huge talk about recession.
Yeah.
Now, those are politics. I'm not going to get into that.
Mhm.
Now, my question is, if I was a buyer now
Yeah.
and I plan to buy a property in the next few months, what would you recommend and what are the advice you would say in a mortgage perspective?
Yeah. So from a purely mortgage perspective, I always say a pre-approval is great as long as we use it strategically,
Right.
right? Especially in this market, um, we are very fixated not so much on the price of the pre-approval, but on the rate hold, right? So every pre-approval, most lenders, I won't say every lender because we don't speak in absolutes, but most lenders will give you a 120-day rate hold,
Right.
right? So with that, you have 120 days to find a property, right? Now, sometimes, again, kind of behind the little peek behind the curtain there, when we qualify for a pre-approval, it's a different type of qualification at that time, right? And so the amount might be less than what they can actually afford.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that we work out in the offer stage, right?
Exactly.
But for the sake of, if you're very intent and keen on wanting to get a property, it would be best to get a pre-approval, at least so that we can get, from my point of view, from strictly my own mortgage financing point of view, I can get documents in, I can start looking at where the numbers lie so that we can actively make a proper plan, right?
Awesome. Yeah.
Pre-approving would be holding the rate in this tumultuous market where rates are flying. I'm getting email blasts daily, 2 to 3 times a week, even about rate change effective at everybody. Rate change effective at midnight. Effective at midnight. Rate change. Get your deals in. All my lenders are sounding off, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what we want to um, protect against, right? That's what we want to get in at when they're saying, effective at midnight. We want to have all the documents in place so that we can submit and at least get that rate hold.
Right.
Right.
Perfect. That's really good information, Devin. Thank you so much. And again, I'm really glad that we had this chat because it's overdue. This has been happening since the beginning of the year, and people need to have this information so they can have that plan or better plan for their future, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, if I was a buyer and I want to
Mhm.
get a hold of you, um, what shall I do?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can reach me either by email, by phone. I'm always, I think it's this day and age, I always got my phone attached to me, right? So I can plug my number 905-235-3924, or you can hit me on my email at devin.mcleangriffin@realapproved.ca. That's
Awesome.
MCLEANGRIFFIN@realapproved.ca.
Excellent. And I'm also going to leave that information link down below. So if you guys would need any assistance of getting a pre-approval or mortgage refinancing, Devin is the guy to help you guys out. Now, in
Absolutely.
terms of real estate needs, you can call me at 416-908-3825, or you can email me at info@mmagadia.com. That's info@mmagadia.com. Perfect. Anything else you wanna mention, Devin, before we land this plane?
No, I don't think so. I think, the only thing that I would really leave off with is, please, anybody who watches this, if you have any questions at all, if you've seen something on your emails, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, anywhere, that kind of made you go, and you're thinking about it, reach out to me, right? Reach out to anybody. It doesn't have to be me. Like I said, transparency and communication. I'm fine. You don't always have to come to me, but reach out to a mortgage specialist, right? ask them your questions, right? I am mostly always available. And if I miss your call or you email me, I respond very quickly. And I'm happy to answer questions. As soon as Maico asked me to hop on this, instantaneously I said yes. I love answering questions and just providing all the knowledge that I can, right? So if there's any question that made you think, double take, by all means, send a text, send an email, and let's have a talk.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I guess that's all there is to it. I don't want to make this video a little longer because, as you know, our retention
We'll trail off eventually.
In fact, if you watched this video until now, kudos.
That's good on you. Good on you. Yep.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, and enjoy yourself. Have a good weekend. Okay.
Take care, everyone.